Well, for more, we're joined by our editor-at-large, Ahmed Al-Barai. Ahmed, good to get you on set to distill this unfolding story. Clearly, the U.S., the U.K. and France are all uniting. They believe that this was the right response to the alleged chemical weapons attack last Saturday. But of course, any intervention in Syria is always complicated, isn't it?
Of course. Well, Sandra, the matter is, we would unfold it into three main parts. The first thing, we all agree that Assad, for more than 7 years, his regime have been committing heinous crimes against his own people. You see the ignominious images coming out from Syria for more than 7 years now. This is a kind of thing that nobody can dispute, that we do have real crimes on the ground against his own people. On the other hand, he used the chemical weapons before. And this is something it's not the first precedent that this happens. And in the past, they said they're going to deter, the international community, the US-led coalition, they're going to deter him using this chemical weapon again. And this didn't happen. Now, the second important thing is whether this was a chemical attack and why it happened at this particular time. We know that the Assad regime was achieving major inroads in eastern Ghouta. He was already taking the enclave, and the Russians, they struck the deal with the rebel groups, the Jaish al-Islam, in the Duma province, the last stronghold of the rebels. Their military police was inside. So why would Assad use chemical weapons now? And the third is, what is the ultimate goal of this strike? If you want to deter Assad from committing this, you wouldn't warn him like a week before you start. Macron of France said, we're going to attack these targets, which was a kind of an opportunity for Assad to evacuate them. And then the attack happened. What do we have? The damage is not so genuine, it's not on the ground, so it doesn't mean that they completely damaged the capabilities of the chemical facilities on the ground of the Assad regime, which means he can use it again.
I wanted to ask you about that because we are getting conflicting reports, obviously, on the consequences of these strikes. Syrian state TV saying 3 civilians have been killed. The U.S. military saying they know of no casualties. What do we know?
What do we know so far? It's the attacked areas are the major research of chemical facilities, and it was very clear that their precision in terms of the airstrikes. As far as I know from the reports on the international agencies, there are no casualties reported. The Syrian regime, the state regime, saying there are some casualties, but the US-led coalition informed the Russians prior to the attack that these places are going to be attacked, which means that it's a clear message. And in my opinion, it was a kind of a humiliation to Russia, in particular because of their outreach. They still think that there's a superpower. They have the hegemony in the Middle East, particularly in Syria. They do have the upper hand where Trump doesn't have a clear policy. NATO is not on the ground anymore. France is not there. And it is for them, particularly for the UK, a matter of, pride and dignity that they're going to try to, pay back the slap they had of the alleged poisoning of the double agent on the British soil. And that is a golden chance. And that's what explains why Theresa May didn't wait for the Parliament session. She even didn't present the Parliament, the lawmakers in the United Kingdom, with any concrete evidence that Assad did that. And that's what she will face by the staunch opposition on Monday, I believe, because she's going to present what evidence she has that this was a chemical attack. Though everybody is happy, the Syrian people are happy to deter Assad, to stop the violence. This shouldn't pass without punishment, but at the end of the day, there must be a kind of a strategy to end the ongoing violence. If you have the capability to stop the killing or the use of chemical weapons, then by default you have the capability to stop killing people. Why don't you do that? Now Daesh is gone, rebel groups surrendered, so why the killing is still continuing? That is the question the Syrian people are asking.
Indeed, lots to discuss about the ramifications for the Syrian war at large. But first, let's